Hey, what is going on, everybody? I'm Pastor Adam. Happy Old Testament Thursday, and I'm so glad you decided to tune in, check out, and see what we've got going on today. Today, we're going to continue on in our series of how to be a Christian in an unchristian world. How do we, as Christians, go about honoring God and honoring other people and treating our neighbor as ourselves while still loving God and trying to get those people who don't get God to love God without offending everybody? And how do we go about doing the Great Commission and being effective tools for the kingdom while living in a unchristian world? It seems that our world, our country, is slowly losing its, maybe rapidly losing its Christian morals. We look at our world today and we go, man, we just need more Jesus everywhere, and we're right. But how do we do that? How do we go about making that a reality? And that's the challenge that we're faced with throughout this series. I hope you're picking up what I'm laying down. Today, I've got a question, maybe a discussion, something like that. But when we look at different things that happen in our life, say dating, relationships, marriage, those things, there's a way that the world tells you how to do it or how you should do it. And then there's the Bible and what God says and how to do it. When we raise kids, the world tells you to go this way, the Bible tells you this way. Sometimes they're butting heads, they're in competition of each other, they're in contrast of each other, they don't agree. Typically, not typically, almost? No, not even almost. Every time, God's way is better than whatever the world has come up with. How do I know this? Well, it's pretty evident throughout the Bible. If you look at Daniel chapter 1, where we'll be today, I'm going to kind of summarize a little bit of it for you. There are these four guys. They're from Israel nobility, the higher up families. It's Daniel and eventually known as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Probably those three people you know from the fiery furnace. Those are their names that were given to them, Babylon names, because Israel has been put into captivity. They've been enslaved by Babylon, and the king of Babylon is trying to find the best and the brightest of Israelite young men and put them into the king's service, but he has to put them through a test. And so what he's allowed to happen is that they would sit at the king's table and they'd eat the king's food, right? And the king's court's food. But the food that they're eating would be unclean. So Daniel and his buddies Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego go, you know what? We're not going to do this. So they go to the court food guy, the chef, and say, hey, we can't eat this. It's not going to be good for us. And they come up with this plan. Check this out. Daniel chapter 1, verse 11. Daniel then said to the guard, whom the chief official had appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, those are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those are their Hebrew names. Please test your servants for 10 days, give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearance with that of the young men who eat the royal food, and treat your servant in accordance with what you see. So he agreed to this and tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, they looked healthier, better nourished than any of the other young men who ate the royal food. So the guard took away their choice food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables instead. So there was the worldly king's way of doing things and the food they were supposed to eat, and then there was God's way of the food they were supposed to eat and God's way of doing it. And Daniel said, no, we're not going to do that. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah said, we're not going to do that. We are going to just eat vegetables and drink water for 10 days, and you can see if we're right or wrong. Not only did the chiefs see that they were better among the other young men that were there, check out what it says in Daniel chapter 1, verse 19. The king talked with them and found none equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered the king's service. In every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king questioned them, he found them 10 times better than all the other magicians and enchanters in his whole kingdom. There was the world's way, then there was God's way. Through this one example, and there's many other ones, we can see clearly that God's way always comes out on top. Not just in a little bit, But the king noticed that they were 10 times better at anything else anyone else said. 10 times better. So my question to you, as being a Christian in an unchristian world, are you going with God's way that's 10 times better? Or are you going with the world's way? It could be a tough decision. It could be hard to think about. But I pray and I hope that you are going in God's way. I'm Pastor Adam. This has been Old Testament Thursday. I'll see you next time.